Jeremiah, roll tide. It's great to see you. How's everything going as we look forward to honoring you on Saturday along with your son?
Excellent. We are doing well. Thank you all for having me on, and we look forward to the game Saturday.
We're really excited to be back inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. And for you, you're around this football team a lot, but what does it mean to have the Castille family recognized in such a way on Saturday at Bryant-Denny?
Well, anytime the university honors you, Roger, it's always it's recognizes us. That's an honor for me and Simeon to be able to come back and be be amongst the fans.
Well, we can't wait to have you back. And let's go back to the beginning of your journey to the University of Alabama. You're originally from Columbus, Georgia. What was your recruiting process like? Why'd you end up coming to Alabama?
I'm laughing because it was real simple. I grew up watching the Coach Bryant show. So at the early 70s, 73, 74, Woodrow Lowe from Phoenix City was featured on the Coach Bryant show because he was an outstanding linebacker. So, and he lived right down the street from me. So that's how my vision for playing at the University of Alabama. I was probably in middle school at that time, and so my vision to play, my dream to play at the University of Alabama, that's where it began. Watch Coach Bryant would be on his show on Sundays, and I can remember him saying, "Bingo." That's Woodrow Lowe on the tackle. And what's neat about this story is that the dream of playing for Coach Bryant, watching Woodrow, and then I had a chance to be roommates with Woodrow's younger brother Eddie Lowe while I was there at Alabama.
That's outstanding. Of course, you made that decision to come to Alabama. And of course, you had heard so much about Coach Bryant. You'd watched his television show all that time. What was it like getting to know him at first as a player? And how'd your relationship as a player and a coach grow over the years?
I'll tell you a story real quick that'll help you with that. 1982, we're getting ready to play the last game, Liberty Bowl, Coach Bryant's last game. I'm a senior, my last game. And right before the captains got ready to go out, it was a cold, wet night that night up in Memphis, and I just had a strong prompting to get up and say something. And I was known as a quiet leader. I just didn't talk a whole lot. But this prompting is so strong in just inner man that I feel like, man, if I don't get up, I'm gonna throw up. So I raised my hand real slowly, and I said, "Coach, can I say something?" Coach Bryant was standing there, and he just nodded. He had that big old jacket on, and he nodded yes. And it was an impromptu situation, and I didn't know what I was going to say, how I was going to say it, but I just knew I had something to say. And when I got up, the words just started coming out, and I said, "Coach, tonight I just want to thank you for everything you've done for me." I said, "I came here 4 years ago as an 18-year-old boy, and tonight I'm leaving as a 21-year-old man. And I want to thank you for it." And I said, "Coach, there's no way we're going to lose this game tonight." Yeah, I said, "If I got to play this baby by myself, we win this game." Well, anyway, I shared that, the story. Coach Bryant dies 20-some days later, but I got a chance to publicly thank him for everything he'd done for me. And in that little talk, I said, I didn't understand a lot of when I first got here as a freshman, but as time passed, I really came to understand what you were trying to do for me, and you really helped me grow up. And that's what he did. He turned boys into men.
And you mentioned he passed away about a month after that game was complete, and you ended up being one of the pallbearers for his funeral. Just what was that experience like? Is there any way to explain it to our fans who maybe weren't around at that time, just how sad a moment that was in Alabama football history?
A sad moment, Roger, but it was also, it's been probably my greatest experience of seeing someone that was a legend affect an entire state, really an entire nation. But one of the things I'll always remember is the getting on the bus and going from Tuscaloosa to Birmingham, and the people, just the sheer number of people that was on the side of the roads, the cars, the people, every overpass. As we're pulling out, I'm looking at people, they're sitting there on the streets crying, weeping. And I'm sitting thinking to myself, man, he had this kind of impact on people. And we knew him. I knew him as a coach-player relationship. And I'm thinking, these people, they just watch Coach Bryant from afar. That is the impact that Coach Bryant had. I've heard numbers of probably over 1 million people viewed that procession as it went from Tuscaloosa to Birmingham.
Incredible. Yeah, the pictures don't even do it justice from what we've seen from that tough time. But then for you afterwards, it was an NFL career, and then you got to see your sons also suit up in the Crimson for the Crimson Tide. Just how meaningful was that for you to get to watch them live out their football dreams, both with Alabama and then some in the NFL as well?
Well, it really was. As I look back on it, it's great memories now. I took on being the chaplain when Tim, my oldest son, was a senior in high school. So I had a chance to see really all Tim, Simeon, and Caleb, who walked on too at Alabama. I got a chance to, over 21 years, see all three of them put the crimson uniform on, and I wanted them to come to the University of Alabama, but the wisdom of it when they were coming out of high school for me was, you can't force them to go to the university. And so years after, they've adults now, we would talk about it. And I said, well, what really made you all decide to go to Alabama? And they said, Dad, two things. They said, Dad, all those stories you told us about Coach Bryant and when we were boys, and taking us down to games when they were growing up. And so I was recruiting them.
We're certainly glad they chose the University of Alabama. We're glad as well you've continued your relationship with the university as well. What can you tell the fans that you're up to these days?
So with what I do now, Roger, I work with our team. Coach Saban has been very gracious to let me work with the team as chaplain. So what we do is we work with the players, and in that capacity, I like to say, just as a spiritual coach, we work with our players. We just in there helping Coach Saban in what he does in the spiritual development of our guys, for those that will want to be a part of it. And we get a chance to do that. And it has been very fulfilling for me to do that.
That's outstanding. Well, Jeremiah Castille, we can't wait to recognize you coming up on Saturday, along with your son, Simeon, coming up this weekend against Austin Peay as our honorary captains, saluting the Castille family for everything you've done for Alabama football. So just thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to Saturday. Roll Tide.
Thank you. Roll Tide, sir.